The senator from Iowa.
We're not in a drug crisis. I think it's pretty well known, as CDC has reported, that over 100,000 Americans died from drug overdose over a recent 12-month period. Although fentanyl drugs are heavily responsible for this, we're battling the fight on many fronts. For instance, synthetic drug use is evolving and, of course, very dangerous. Same thing for methamphetamine, which is very much on the rise. Too many lives are being lost. That's why I've been busy working on legislation to stop this epidemic. Bills like this title of a bill, Stop the Importation and Manufacturing of Synthetic Analogs Act of 2021. For too long, criminals have been skirting the law. You know how they do it? By changing the chemical makeup of a drug. They keep ahead of regulation writing. They keep ahead of Congress making laws. Congress is kind of in a situation of playing the deadly game of Whac-A-Mole as law enforcement tries to keep pace with savvy drug dealers. My bipartisan bill nips this deadly cycle in the bud. This bill would control synthetic substances similar to known drugs, while the more time-consuming testing, research, and analysis can be performed. Also, methamphetamine abuse and use is very concerning. The volume and purity of meth smuggled from Mexico into the United States is at a near all-time high. To address this dire situation, I joined with Senator Feinstein of California to reintroduce the Methamphetamine Response Act. This bill declares meth an emerging threat and requires the Office of National Drug Control Policy to develop and implement a national plan to prevent meth addiction and overdoses. This is a necessary step to combat meth in Iowa and, of course, in the rest of the country. The Senate passed very recently the Meth Response Act. In fact, it was passed this week. The House must act quickly to get the bill to President Biden's desk. Meth is rampant, and action should not be delayed. I also joined with Senator Feinstein to reintroduce a cannabidiol and marijuana research bill to encourage scientific and medical research on marijuana. Instead of rushing into legalizing or decriminalizing marijuana, we need a better understanding of that plant and its potential benefits, but also know what the side effects are. Let's not put the cart before the horse here in the Senate. I've also been active as co-chairman of the Senate Caucus on International Narcotics Control. Along then with that chairman, Senator Whitehouse, we held hearings examining the federal response to the drug overdose epidemic and the nexus between illicit drug trade and corruption. I also convened a field hearing in Iowa to hear from grassroots, the experts there and the constituents there about our own state's efforts on drug control, prevention, and treatment efforts. At that hearing, we had the sad story by the Father Rod Courtney from North Liberty, Iowa, sharing his story of losing his son, Chad, 5 years ago due to fentanyl. Rod's powerful testimony is just one instance of the struggles families face from drug abuse. Stories like Chad's are why I sent multiple letters to the Biden administration to proactively and permanently schedule fentanyl-related substances. So, we did get a positive response. I'm glad to see that the Biden administration has taken my advice, probably the advice of a lot of other senators as well, and recommended permanently scheduling fentanyl drugs. Yet, the administration proposes shielding fentanyl dealers from mandatory minimums. These dealers are potential killers. This watered-down position flies in the face of our current crisis with fentanyl. We have to keep our neighborhoods safe and must hold poison peddlers accountable. That's particularly true with fentanyl offenders. I'm happy to say that with my support, Congress has extended the life-saving scheduling authority into February. But don't be fooled. We still need a permanent solution. With the help of, or with the close of 2021 on the horizon, it's natural to reflect 100,000 overdose deaths is an unspeakable tragedy. Each loss is a loved one, a friend, or a neighbor. We must find solutions to this crisis, and I look forward to being part of that solution. I hope my colleagues will join me in moving those bills.